Welcome to Failed Forward, a podcast for professionals who are wondering, how the hell did I get here?
Join your host, Rachel Durkin, and me, Donna Miller, as we discuss the messy, bumpy, and often unattractive journey to success.
After all, if it isn't hard to do, is it really worth doing? Hello, everyone, and welcome to Failed Forward, the podcast for those of us wondering, how the hell did I get here? My name is Rachel Durkin. I'm with Paradigm Marketing and Design. We are a web marketing, branding, and sales enablement agency specializing in working with clients with a complex sale. So if you need a human interaction with the sales team to close a deal, we can help your sales team increase the number of meetings they're having and shorten their sales cycle. I am joined every time with my lovely co-host, Donna Miller.
Thank you, Rachel. Yes, I am Donna Miller. I am Chief Visionary Officer at C3 Workplace and founder of Donna Miller Business Growth Consulting, where for 30 years we've been helping companies accelerate their growth by providing support and advisory services around operations, business development, and finance. We allow growing teams and business owners to focus on that which truly drives their business forward, working on versus in. Our clients know that by bringing us in to build systems that are efficient, connected, and executable by us or by them, they are laying the groundwork to build a company that runs without them involved in every little day-to-day detail. So, delighted to be here, and we are thrilled to be joined today by the Deirdre Wheatley-Liss. Deirdre, tell our audience a little bit about your fabulous self and what you do.
Okay, so what do I do? So first of all, Rachel, Donna, thank you so much for having me here. What do? I solve problems. At the end of the day, I fix things. I have a title. I am a principal at a law firm, Forzio, Bromberg and Newman. I am in our wealth preservation group. Let's break that down a little bit. I help families and I help owners of closely held businesses navigate business law, tax law, estate planning, asset protection planning. At the end of the day, we're the wealth preservation group. We help people keep what it is that they've worked so hard for and be able to then share it with who they want to. Generally speaking, not the government in forms of taxes. And generally speaking, in litigation, they really don't want to give it over to the other party. So that's what I do day to day.
Amazing. So Deirdre is a rock star in our networking circle. Everybody knows Deirdre's name. Everybody knows she's the go-to. You have built quite a reputation for yourself, Deirdre. I imagine based off of an amazing career. So tell us a little bit about how you got to where you are and some of the obstacles you faced along the way. Was it always rainbows and sunshine and butterflies?
No. So I'll even start. So you want to know the reason I'm a lawyer? I graduated from college in the middle of a recession and I watched a lot of LA law. Yes, I'm dating myself. And I'm like, well, that seems like something somebody with a humanities degree would be able to do. So I ended up going to law school and I took some tax law class. And I was like, the government writes like 73,000 pages of tax code and they really don't do a particularly good job having, page 2096 work with page like 60,042. So I was like, oh, I can navigate that. That's fun. But at the end of the day, what I really enjoy doing is I really enjoy working with people. So I started my career doing estate planning work, started helping people with elder law with their parents. A lot of my clients own their own businesses. Donna, that's who it is that you work with, Rachel, who you work with. And when you own your own business, your personal wealth and your business success, there is no divide between the two of you, right? So how is it that we can, help people maximize that in terms of what they're doing? And then from there, I've developed expertise in cybersecurity, the Corporate Transparency Act, data privacy, things that really impact business owners for what it is that they do. Your question was, what was the obstacle though? You know what the obstacle was? And you guys can't see me pointing, but I'm pointing at myself. I have been my biggest obstacle my entire career. When I got started, imposter syndrome existed, but it didn't have a name associated with it. I really focused on perfection. As I have matured, I focus on progress over perfection. Perfection is great, but it's also unattainable for what it is that you're doing. And then sort of like in terms of just really being able, I so plan out and prioritize my life. And if people are listening to your podcast, I know because both of you, Donna and Rachel, you are as intentional with your day as I am with mine. And that has really, helped me unleash a lot of the success.
Awesome. So, it's funny because I remember when Rachel asked me that question, what was your greatest obstacle? I said the same exact thing, me. I mean, and our last guest was talking, she saw no limits. She knew she could do anything she set her mind to. So I get that. And I understand. What I've always admired about you, Deirdre, is, and I say this with respect and reverence, but you are a very unlawyerly lawyer in other words, know that when you are across from an adversary or you're in a courtroom, you are lawyering the crap out of it. But when you are out being a representative of the firm or having these kinds of conversations, you are incredibly unlawyerly and very broad thinking, which I think probably goes to some of the progress versus perfection, and knowing that when it starts out, we're our own biggest limitation. So flip that around.
Right.
What was the process that you went through? Because now you're probably your greatest asset. What was the process you went through to turn that all around?
I think a lot of that had to do, and thank you so much for the compliment. I started with I fix problems, and that's like really distilled at the end of the day. If you have a problem, let's get to Z as quickly as possible. I mean, that's really what we're focused on doing. Let's not lawyer things to death. My clients are business owners. You can accept your own risks as long as you understand them. I was really thinking about that. I think it comes down to helping hands, right? So when I started off in my career, now remember, I am still in a male-dominated profession, right? You all on the podcast can't see me. I don't look like a lawyer. I am not a man of a certain age. I do not have gray hair, and I'm certainly not wearing a tie right now. Because of that, I think we have to do everything ourselves, right? But looking back on my career, I can see those people who helped me along the way, right? Two of them are here right now. Donna, you taught me about finance in a way that I never understood, notwithstanding I am a tax attorney. Like, that is what I do.
I know.
Yeah, Rachel, you sharing about how it is that you need to look at marketing as an ongoing investment, not as a spend a lot of money and then be frustrated that nothing happened, right? So it's like and none of that was, we weren't engaged to do that financially. It was because we were working with each other and trying to help lift each other up. So looking at all those helping hands along the way, some small conversations, some very tight mentorship relationships. And I think now that I'm at this stage of my career, the reason I can see it is I'm the one extending my hand now, right? Saying, hey, why don't let me bring you along? How about doing this? I have, a great speaking engagement opportunity. Why don't you come and do it with me? I never would have done that earlier in my career because I was just so busy. First of all, gratitude for an ability to do a speaking engagement, but needing to do everything myself. And, that's something that when I look back, I wish there were probably a lot of hands extended to me that I just didn't recognize at the time.
Well, I love that you said that. So I know so many, I don't want to call them younger. They're certainly, in their career, but I'll see type A personalities who hold themselves at a different standards than they even hold other people who even work for them. Or, I have managers who hold themselves at higher standards than those who work under them. And it always blows my mind that they're the ones working late nights and they're the ones staying up and they're the ones covering for people. And at some point, you've got to recognize that perfection sometimes inhibits progress, right? Because you're striving so much for it. And somebody told me once, a coach, 80% of your good enough is 110 to other people. And you've got to be okay with 80%. And so how did you recognize that? And how do you recognize? I'm sure you recognize it. How do you handle it?
It's an ongoing, because I raised my hand when you're like, oh, you're the ones that are doing the work and everything.
Exactly.
And it's really hard to do. So, and it goes back, Don, it's funny what you said, systems and processes, right? I have a large team of people that work directly with my clients. I have a large group of, interconnected colleagues that may also work with clients. And it's really setting up systems and processes, because I can't I can't make person X work at my level. And I'm not saying that working at their level isn't maybe even better than mine, but of course, I'm the one whose lens is judging everything. But what I can do is develop a process so that whether I'm working with someone or someone on my team is working with someone, that I know from a quality control perspective that they're getting the exact same process, and which is always a work in process in terms of progress, in terms of what it is that we're going to be doing. But that is a lesson that I've learned because, there are only 24 hours in the day. Candidly, I don't feel like working 23 of them. That's not my life goal. Some people it is. But through documenting system, taking the time to invest in taking it out of my head and putting it in a flow chart, a piece of paper, whatever it is, and then circling back to people, that has been such just a relief. And strangely enough, has unlocked significant growth in our business. I know this is shocking that this would do this, right? But we really, invested in this. I'm going to say 2020, because with the pandemic, things were like a little like, I'm not commuting anymore. I've got all this extra time in my day, right? We really, and I can actually see and track the data from that. So that's something that I think is so important. It doesn't, even if it's 5 minutes a day, if I always respond to this email, can I copy and paste it somewhere so that I can copy and paste it back again? Those kinds of little things to be able to do things.
Yeah. And I do think it's the 100 little things you do, not the one big thing you do. And so, you talked about bringing people along. And I said this on our last podcast, success never happens in isolation. So talk to us a little bit about the lessons that you've learned in bringing those people along, bringing those processes along. What are kind of some of the most important lessons that you've learned? And is it, I say at this point in my career, good enough is really good enough. And that confidence allows you to do that. What's the important lesson in what you've been sharing with us?
So, I think it's a couple of things. Let's talk about square pegs and round holes. Okay. As people who are managing a business, owning a business, supervising a large element of a business, our job is to get all the pegs and holes lined up with each other, right? When you see someone, they're not always going to be, they might be round with some square edges, right? So your question is, am I going to change the shape of what it is that they need to do, or can I reshape them into what it is that needs to be done, right? But functionally, at the end of the day, one of the greatest exercises that I went through is what job responsibilities, forget everybody who's doing it right now. What job functions do we need to have covered, and what people need to be doing those? And sometimes if someone they're just not working for that job function, you have an opportunity to be able to see if they can be reutilized, but you also have an opportunity for them to be very successful somewhere else. Because if there is a vision, if our role is you're going to copy and paste this letter every single time that it's going out, it's okay for me to hold people accountable for the systems and processes that we put in place. And if people are not comfortable with that, to have other people who are involved who will be additive to those systems and processes and look towards improving them. So I think it's, don't suffer with change for 7 years. You know what I mean? Change is scary. Nobody likes it. It's not a good thing. But go back to what your needs are as part of an organization and looking at how you can always be additive and growing. Don't fear change. So every single year I set myself up to change something, whether it's successful or not, but it's constantly, it's evolving, it's innovating. It's knowing that we can always do something better without it having, Donna, to your point, to be perfect, because that's just an illusion.
We have that. There's like a running joke at Paradigm that the only thing that is a constant is the fact that we're constantly changing. And if you're not changing, you're not adapting. And if you're not adapting, you're gonna drown or die, or whatever, as an organization or as a team.
Or even get old as a person. I was just reading James Clear he sends out this weekly newsletter, and he was reading a quote about what is aging, right? And aging is stopping growing as a person, stopping to do new things as a person. And as a person of a certain age, I am so delighted that I don't fall into that trap. And I think it speaks also to organizations, because your organization is aging and other organizations are therefore growing around you.
So Deirdre, I could talk to you all day, but we are running up on time. Tell our audience how they can find you or learn more about you or hear more about your wisdom.
Oh, absolutely. So the best way to be able to reach me is we have a website, Porzio Planning. It's PORZIOPLANNING. Spelling was not my forte in school.
Mine either.
PorziaPlanning.com. Or you can find me. It's at PBN Law. And for that one, let's go with Peanut Butter Nougat, PBNlaw.com. And it's Deirdre Wheatley-Liss. And you can find me at either places. Or candidly, you can reach out to the lovely Rachel Durkin or the lovely Donna Miller because they absolutely know where to find me.
We would be happy to connect you with Deirdre. Deirdre, thank you so much. I just love talking to people like yourself who have such incredible pearls of wisdom. So thank you all for joining us today. Rachel and I want to wish you a great journey as you go along. And remember, we're talking about failing forward here. There really is no such thing as failure. It's what do you need to learn from that? Do more, do less, do different. So thanks for joining us. Until next time, have a great month.
Take care, everybody.
However often we're doing this.
Life. Bye.